Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're gonna make a cute little Halloween kind of like collage-y mug. So I'm using this little half sheet of vinyl that came in a recent Peachy palette. And I think this half sheet of vinyl is available on the website. So I will link that down below for you if you wanna use the same one. But you can really use any sheet of pattern vinyl that has this kind of collage feel to it. It doesn't even really need to have the collage feel to it. You can just use any sort of pattern vinyl that you want. So what I'm going to do, because this is a half sheet and it's like a vertical half sheet, I'm going to cut it in half so that I can use those two halves to wrap around my mug. I'm going to use a morning mug from the Tipsy Magnolia. So I want to make sure that I can wrap most of the mug with our vinyl, and then we'll fill in the rest of the space with the glitter. If you're going to use a regular sheet of vinyl, you don't need to do this. You can just cut your vinyl down to size, and then you'll wrap the entire mug with your pattern vinyl sheet. I'm going to apply this first piece of vinyl right up against the handle of my tumbler, and what I did is just cut away a little bit of the backing from the vinyl and made sure that I had it placed exactly how I wanted it. So these sheets obviously are small, and so I wanted to leave a little bit of a gap down at the bottom of the tumbler, as you can see there, hopefully, and I'm leaving no excess at the top. So typically what I would do if I was doing like a vinyl wrap with a regular vinyl sheet, I would leave a little bit of excess vinyl up over the top rim of the tumbler and around the bottom most of the time. Sometimes I leave a gap at the bottom, but most of the time I would have a little bit of excess vinyl up at the top. But because these are so small, I didn't want to waste any of the vinyl. So I just lined up the top edge of my vinyl with the top rim of my tumbler. So I wrapped that first little sheet onto my cup, as you saw. And now with that second sheet, I'm going to take the straight edge and just line it up with the straight edge of the remaining piece. And because this is so busy of a pattern, it's so collagey, that seam in the end, especially with everything we add on top of this, you're really not even going to know that it's there. So don't worry about that harsh line, because you're not even going to know in the end. Okay, so as you can see, our vinyl pieces don't really converge in the middle of our handle. We've got one sheet that's butted up right up against the handle, and then the other sheet doesn't quite make it there. So what I'm going to do is measure the distance from that second sheet to the handle, and then I'm going to cut off that same amount on the opposite side so that we have an even amount of space around our handle and everything looks a little bit more intentional and not like we just didn't have enough vinyl to fill up our whole cup. Okay, so now everything is even, and what we can do is take this tape and tape off around our vinyl so that we can paint and glitter the remaining parts of the tumbler. So I'm just going to use this same little green painter's tape. You can use any painter's tape you like. This is just really cheap painter's tape from Amazon, but it's really good for small jobs like this when I don't want to use like really nice painter's tape. So I'm just going to tape off all of the edges of my vinyl, including the edges on the bottom. That doesn't matter though for what I ended up doing with this tumbler, and you'll kind of see that process obviously as we go through this video. But if you want your cup to look like the end result that we're going to have, you do not need to worry about doing anything to the bottom of your tumbler at this point. I'm going to base paint my tumbler using Pansy. This is Delta Creative Ceramic Coat acrylic paint. Of course, you can use spray paint, whatever acrylic paint you want. I personally think that this is the best one. And I'm using the Crystalac glitter glue as my adhesive. So I'm going to mix in a little bit of paint with my glue, and then I'll brush this all over those stainless areas of our tumbler, and then we can glitter them. The glitter I'm going to use is called Graveyard Glam. It's from Peachy Olive Glitters, and this came in the same Peachy palette that the vinyl came in. And I'm just going to, like I said, cover the entire area that we painted purple with our tumbler. This is a really beautiful, kind of like mini chunky purple mix. It's got a little bit of pink in there, a little bit of like holographic shift. It's a really, really pretty purple color. I love it. So right after glittering, I removed all of the tape from around my tumbler, and then I let my glitter dry for about maybe like 2 to 3 hours. And then to seal the glitter this time, I just spray sealed it with clear gloss spray. In hindsight though, I wish I would have done my typical sealing method, which is just leaving the tape on, letting the glue dry, and then sealing the glitter with my Crystal glitter glue and water mixture. I think that just holds the glitter better, but I was just, I don't know, my brain stopped working for a while. So anyway, the clear gloss spray will work totally fine. You just might have a tiny little bit of movement with your glitter, but for this design in the end, it really isn't going to matter anyway. So whatever sealing method you prefer is totally fine. So after sealing my glitter, I added 2 coats of epoxy to my tumbler. For those coats, as always, I'm using the Flynn Sister Supply Shop Fast Cure epoxy. And because this is a smaller mug, each of my coats was maybe between like 15, 20 milliliters-ish. So now that I've got those 2 coats of epoxy on, we can go through and add all of our fun elements to really bring this design to life. So starting off with this other sheet of vinyl that came in the same palette, this is another half sheet of this fun collage pattern. And what I wanted to use from this pattern is just this little ghost that's on here. So I'm just going to cut him out and then we'll place him right on the tumbler. After adding the ghost, I was ready to add my bats and my wavy lines to the tumbler. So I just cut these out of plain black vinyl. Now the bat, I think I got in a pack from Creative Fabrica. So if I can find the exact bat image that I used to cut out, I will link it down below for you. And then the wavy line file is available on my website. So I just measured the height of the tumbler and then made the wavy lines just a little bit taller than the height of my tumbler so that I could have a little bit of excess on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to take these and just place them right on the edges of our vinyl. And this will really end up actually blending pretty well. I really don't want any harsh seam lines. I didn't want it to look like we didn't have enough vinyl to wrap around our mug and then we just put glitter there. I really wanted the whole design to feel very seamless and just have everything flow nicely. So I'm going to put these wavy lines on the seams of the vinyl, and then once we add all the other things on top, you really won't look at it and think, the vinyl just didn't wrap all the way around the mug, and that's why they put glitter there. So I'm going to, on this side, layer 2 of the wavy lines next to each other to make it a little bit thicker. I didn't really like on the vinyl how it said I love you on there. I just thought I don't know, I just didn't really like it. So I covered that up with the wavy line, and then I put the third wavy line right next to that, of course, to cover the vinyl seam. I added a stripe of gold vinyl to the bottom of the tumbler, but you can ignore that because I ended up covering it up. I didn't like how it looked after I covered it with epoxy. I also didn't apply it super evenly, so I covered it up with paint, which you'll see later, and I really, really like how that turned out instead of the vinyl, so just pretend that vinyl's not there. So what I'm going to do now is add these bats all over the tumbler. I put some overlapping the wavy lines going into that purple glitter, and then I just put some like scattered throughout the collage area of the cup. Now, because this is such a busy pattern and it does have that collage look, you can literally put these wherever you want. You can put as many as you want on there. You can add other elements if you want to. There's no rule. I really just wanted to incorporate more of the black from those wavy lines into the main design of the tumbler. Again, to kind of try to tie everything together and make it not look so broken apart into these vinyl and glitter sections. I wanted everything to flow together. Next, I'm going to add a hand-lettered little boo decal to the tumbler. Now this SVG is also available on my website. So I'm going to do a black offset and then a champagne gold top layer. And I just decided to put this in an area of the cup that I felt needed something a little bit extra. I didn't want to do like a big quote decal on here, but I did want to do something kind of substantial. So I decided to go with this simple, cute little hand-lettered boo. To tie in more of that champagne gold color throughout the tumbler design, I cut out some little sparkle stars, and I'm just going to place these randomly all over the cup design so that we have more of a presence of that champagne gold color throughout the whole tumbler. Okay, so now that we've got all of those decals and all that vinyl on our tumbler, it's time for another coat of epoxy. So now with this epoxy, I'm going to add a little bit of extra glitter into our design, of course. So I'm going to take Graveyard Glam, which is that same purple that we used on the mug already. And then I'm also going to take Sky and Basic White Girl and mix those into their own little cup. And then I'm going to add maybe about 5 milliliters of my epoxy into each of those cups. I'm going to mix those together, and then I'm going to add just some plain regular epoxy to my tumbler. And that coat will be fairly thin. We'll use maybe 10 milliliters. And I am using the Flynn Sister Supply Shop Fast Set again for this coat. And I'm just going to, with those two glitter cups, kind of just sporadically put the glitter on to the tumbler. I am going to put it all over, but I don't want to overwhelm the design. I really just want to enhance it. So I don't want to use too much of the glitter and take away from everything that we've already got going on our tumbler. After that coat of epoxy was fully cured, I did a full round of sanding. So I sanded the entire tumbler down to make sure it was as smooth as I could get it. And now what I'm going to do is take my black spray paint and I'm going to cover up this stripe that I mentioned earlier. I did not like how that looked at all. I felt like when you looked at the cup, your eye immediately went to that freaking gold line that was not straight and just was too distracting. So I decided to take my matte black spray paint from Rust-Oleum and I'm gonna lightly spray maybe about an inch up onto the bottom of our tumbler. I'll spray the full bottom as well. So like I said earlier, you really don't need to glitter that because we're going to cover it up with paint right now. And don't worry if you accidentally bring your paint up a little bit too far onto the body of your tumbler. Once this is dry, we're going to go through and clean up that kind of bottom line edge area. So just try to keep it about like a ½ inch to an inch up your cup, and then you can clean it up later. So I let my paint dry for about 45 minutes, and once it was completely dry, I was ready to clean up my fade lines. So using my 91% rubbing alcohol and my acetone, just on a regular paper towel, I went through and I just brought that paint edge down a little bit. I didn't want too much of my ghost covered up. I wanted to reveal a little bit more of the boo decal that got covered up with the paint. So I'm just kind of cleaning up those paint lines. And then once that's all done, we can go right into our final coats of epoxy. So for my final coats, as always, I use the Flynn Sister Supply Shop Artist Cure Epoxy, which is their regular set epoxy, not fast set. It has extra UV protection in it, which is better for the long-term duration of your tumblers looking really nice. So after that final coat, this is what the cup looks like. I love how this turned out. I'm so happy with it. It definitely exceeded my expectations when I started this design, and I always love when that happens. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up down below. Of course, let me know what you think down below in the comments as well. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, love you. Bye! Hello friends, thanks so much for watching this video. I want to say a huge special thank you to my elite fam, my channel members, and my subscribers. You all make this channel possible, so thank you so much for being part of the fam. If you want more exclusive content from me, you can join my elite fam at patreon.com/elitefam. You can find my tumblers and digital files on my website madebymalstudio.com. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at madebymal_studio. Here's another video for you to check out, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Love you. Bye.